budget and so many things that we as budget committee members probably will never quite understand completely. But I want to thank Crystal and Ryan and all those who've been involved in this process. I spent about 30 years as school superintendent, so it's not my first rodeo, if you will, and that's why I'm going to add to my comments that if I make a mistake, the vice chair is right here to pick up the ball. There you go. The purpose of the meeting, as you know, is to receive the budget message and to receive comments from the public on the budget. So first thing we need to do is adopt the agenda today. And you all have an agenda? Okay. I give a motion to adopt that agenda.
So moved.
Been moved by Pat, seconded by
All set.
Second by, may we adopt the agenda? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. Election of officers. We have a chair, but I'm more than willing to hand it over to anyone. So we can.
I nominate New Cleaver as our chair.
I'll second. I move
Think
that
about that.
nomination
Sorry,
cease. I
Okay.
move that nomination cease.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we nominate Noah Cleaver and the nomination cease. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Vice Chair. We need a Vice Chair.
Not everyone all at once.
I
It's
make a
fun.
motion that we nominate Dave for the vice chair.
Okay, it's been moved that we nominate Dave for Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Moved and seconded that we nominate Dave as a Vice Chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
You work in English.
Okay, so now that we have the officers elected and everything, let's go to the budget message. And I'll turn it over to Ryan and Crystal.
Perfect. Well, thank you. This is great. Thank you for serving as chair and Mr. Bunker as vice chair. We appreciate you guys. And this is a process, as you know, that we start back in December. And so this is months and months of work. And when Crystal thinks it's all good, I put my brain into it and it messes it all up when we start over. And so, anyway, so I'll just read my message, and I know it's the boring part of it because I'm just reading word for word for you guys. So, dear budget committee members and this community, as we prepare for the upcoming fiscal year, I'd like to provide an overview of key budget factors, including changes at the state and federal levels, staffing investments, and future planning for the Mississippi District. The proposed 26-27 total budget is $61,459,954, including a general fund budget of $45,112,072. This budget is built on allocations from the $11.3 billion state school fund to the 25 to 27 biennium. It also incorporates several federal and state grants, including a $2.1 million allocation from the Student Investment Account, or SIA. The SIA is part of the Student Success Act, SSA, enacted during the 2019 legislative session and funded through the state's corporate activity tax. At the state and federal level, we are seeing shifts in educational funding that will impact districts all across the board. On average, we're experiencing approximately a 3% reduction in federal funding, with the most significant decreases in Title I-C, or migrant. This reduction is directly tied to a decline in the number of students defined as migrant within our district. While these changes are not unexpected, we will continue to monitor funding closely as we move into the next legislative session and see further guidance around accountability and funding structures. Despite these uncertainties, we are making strategic investments in staffing to reduce class sizes and expand opportunities for students across the district. Notable additions include, at the elementary school, another 1.0 FTE instructional assistant to support early literacy initiatives, and an additional 0.5 FTE counselor. At the high school, an additional FTE to support science and a CTE/agricultural programs. Virtual school, the middle school, 0.5 FTE math teacher to strengthen co-instruction and student support. The virtual school, where we see the largest growth, anticipated enrollment growth of approximately 33% has led to the addition of key staff, including a 1.0 special education teacher, a 1.0 autism consultant, a 1.0 occupational therapist, a 0.5 FTE counselor, a 1.0 registrar. These additions are essential to ensure we are adequately staffed to meet student needs, particularly as we expand the virtual program to include grades 9 through 10 next year. This expansion is a major driver of our projected enrollment growth. In addition to staffing, we are planning for several significant facility improvements next year as well. These include a new roof and HVAC systems for the cafeteria and auditorium gym, upgrade to the high school science rooms, development of a new facility complex that supports CTE program, creative choices, PE health classrooms, replacing the aging portables, office and classroom space for the virtual school staff. These projects reflect our long-term commitment to provide safe, modern, and functional learning environments for our students and staff. Overall, the financial health of the district remains incredibly strong. Continued enrollment growth, particularly within our virtual program, has positioned us well for sustainability and future planning. However, there are areas we will continue to monitor closely. Food service is projected to remain over budget due to rising food and labor costs. Additionally, we are seeing increased personnel expenditures as a result of the implementation of a new salary schedule for classified staff. In summary, the budget reflects a balance between strategic investment and fiscal responsibility. We are prioritizing student learning, expanding opportunities, and planning for long-term growth while remaining mindful of economic pressures at both the state and federal levels. At the heart of this budget is our continued commitment of being NISA strong. Strong in how we support our students, strong in how we invest in our staff, and strong in how we plan for the future of our community. This budget is not just about numbers, it's about opportunity. It is about creating better classrooms, strong programs, and brighter futures for every student we serve. As we move forward, we will continue to build on our momentum, stay grounded in our values, and ensure that every decision we make reflects what it means to be NISA strong. So thank you for your continued support of our student staff. So, okay.
And put it into numbers. So here we
Turn it
go.
over to Crystal.
I kind of thought I'd do something a little bit different this year. I kind of wanted to do just a quick overview of school finance, so we all just have a refresh of what we're about to look at. So I know public finance can be confusing, and it's because it's based on the premise of government fund accounting. So revenues are coming in from various sources, including taxes, grants, donations, fundraisers, and others. Much of that revenue is restricted by law and is meant to be spent for a specific person, so it has to be tracked in separate funds. So that's why we have several different funds in our budget. Our budget is divided into several categories. First, our general fund. Second, our special revenue funds. Those are really restricted funds. We have a debt service fund, as we have a general obligation bond with this district. We have capital funding, and then we have our contingency and reserve funds. So just a couple quick facts about the general fund. It is the largest fund and the most flexible of funds within our budget. It allows our district to adapt and adjust if necessary during the school year. And the makeup of the general fund, the overall is the state school fund. That's enrollment driven, and it's determined by legislation. And then local property taxes that we receive. And so I wanted to talk quickly about enrollment, because the state school fund is driven by enrollment. So it's the primary factor in determining how much money we get from the state each year. So that's why Ryan and I are constantly, we have to know what our enrollment levels are at. We're kind of in a unique situation. Enrollment is down across the state. The average decline is about 7.46%. However, our enrollment is doing the opposite. We are increasing. So we are one of very few districts in Oregon who have increased enrollment and probably have a budget meeting like this tonight where we're not talking about making cuts. So we should all be happy about that, I feel.
And that's, what's that do to? The increase in,
It's the virtual school, and we're
well, just the virtual school. We're not having more in our general
Wait a
school.
minute,
Oh, sorry.
sentence.
Go ahead,
Can I-
Crystal.
This is
Can I
due
ask a
to
question at
online
that point?
virtual school, yes.
When you brought up that question, and I'll ask it later probably, but the virtual school is part of what you just talked about, the basic school fund.
Yep.
The general school fund?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I kind of wanted to talk, the state school fund formula is very complicated and it's taken me years to grasp the concept of what they do. But so I kind of did try to break it down for you. There are multiple factors that determine how much a district receives per student. On average, currently right now, the state provides roughly about $11,000 per student in the state school fund. However, that number could be more if a student is, for example, an ESL, which is an English second language student, if a student is on an IEP, if a student is pregnant or parenting, or in foster care, there's some additional funding for that. So put it all into perspective. A loss, say, to a district of 100 students is at least a loss of $1.1 million. An additional 100 students is revenue of at least $1.1 million.
So Crystal, the revenue side, and you made a beautiful chart farther in the budget here, but the revenue side includes the revenue from the virtual
Yes.
schools. And that 30% is part of that.
Yes. So our state school fund is our district as a whole, and the virtual
Right.
school is part of our district.
Part,
So we get paid off our district enrollment, ADMW, if you will, with all the extra things if the students are
Right.
ESL.
And it goes into the general fund?
Yes, yes.
And then it's
Would we-
earmarked as,
I'll show you.
like the
I'll show you.
four?
Yeah. When we did start the virtual school, we did reach out to the state to see if we could separate it. Maybe you receive 2 different state school funds, and we were told, nope, you're getting one payment and you put it in your general fund. So, okay, so this proposed fiscal year 27 budget is based on a projection of our student enrollment count for our brick and mortar, that's here in Nissa, and then our virtual school. This budget that I'm presenting tonight is combined 2,700 students. And I know you might ask me, well, where are we right now? Our brick and mortar, we're currently at 1,075 students enrolled. And our online virtual, we're almost to 1,200, 1,189. And so what I'm projecting is about 500 to 600 more students, not here in our brick and mortar, but our virtual schools.
That's a down number for us, right? We used to be at 1,200. We usually hover around that 1,100 plus or minus in there, and so, yeah.
And, yeah, so,
Crystal,
yes.
that estimation of 500 additional students, is that from the expansion?
Yes, adding 9 and 10, yes, that's where the bulk of it came.
Okay.
But then also anticipating K through 8 to increase as well. Okay, and so that state school fund is based on enrollment, and also funding that we receive, our high school success and our student success funds, they are also determined by our enrollment. So that will change based on our enrollment. So that's kind of a quick overview of general fund. Special revenue that we'll go through, all of our special revenue funds. That's money that we have to put separate from the general fund, and is very restricted on how we can use it. That's why we keep it separate. Funds, examples, child nutrition program, all of our title programs, Title 1A, 2A, Title 3, Title 4A, Title 1C, our high school success, our student success act funds. We have a scholarship fund that the board gives out, that's kept separate from the general fund. So those are special revenue funds. Then we have our debt service fund, that is where we pay our debt service, obviously. So our district, we have one bond. Our residents passed that in 2016 to pay for the middle school. And that bond is a 20-year bond and will be paid off in 2036. So we're halfway there. After debt service, we have capital improvement funds. This is the fund that we contain our money for capital investments, building, repairing big things, HVACs, roofs, all separate from the general fund. And then finally, we have our contingency and reserve funds. You can just think of this as our rainy day fund. We are required by policy, board policy DD, that we have to have a minimum of 13% of our general fund revenue set aside in our contingency and reserve.
just read, where is it? Do we have that?
No,
No.
these
Okay.
were my notes I made last
Okay.
night. Sorry, you want me to share them? I can.
I mean, it would be nice.
Okay.
Does it, like, do you have numbers associated with those funds individually?
In here I do,
Okay.
not down here.
Nick, you get to go through all of them.
I promise you.
Be quiet
You're gonna
and
learn.
listen.
I promise you.
You said the bond was halfway paid off, the bond on, do you know what the interest rate on that is?
Not on the top of my head, no. But I did note how much, I made a note when we get there of how much we have left. Let's skip ahead. We're going out of order.
I'm
Newell.
sorry, I shouldn't ask that question.
No, you're fine. So the fiscal year 27, we will make a payment of almost $500,000. The remaining balance at the end of next fiscal year will be $5,046,200. So remember, we pay that interest first, and then then we'll start hitting that principal. But I can look into that and
Well, I'm
get.
just trying to think how long I have to live.
So we pay the interest first on that?
Just keep it.
Just kidding.
Well, yes, yeah. Interest on, I'm gonna write that down. Okay, so flipping to page 1, this is starting off with our general fund. The first page is our revenue. By budget law, I have to present a budget that shows 2 columns of prior year actuals. Then the next column over is our current budget, current adopted budget for this year. And then with our current FTE, FTE stands for full-time employee. And then what we're focusing on tonight is the proposed budget 26-27. So general fund revenue, just going down the line, local property taxes have increased by 3%. That's basically average every year, they go up 3%. I did decrease our prior year taxes due to, I might have overestimated a little bit this year. We haven't brought in as much as I thought, so I just wanted to adjust that down and not have it inflated. Interest on investments. Every month, the board hears me talk about our LGIP accounts. Well, those accounts gain interest, and that interest is then spread across a couple of funds in our budget, one of them being the district or the general fund. And we have a lot more money in that LGIP, so we're accruing a lot more interest, so I have increased our budget to match more where we are currently. Admissions, this is like our gates that we take, our gate fees, not at Bulldog Stadium, but our basketball games, our volleyball games. So I've just increased it a little bit because we brought in a little bit more this year. Our rentals, now this is the property that we own that we rent out to the barber shop. And also any other events that might be renting space on campus that might pay for that space, minus the stadium, that money goes to a different fund. Fees charged to grants, so we are provided, well, I apply for, and ODE gives us an indirect rate every single year that it's a percentage that we can charge to specific grants. For example, Title 1A, Title 2, Title 3, Title 1C, that helps cover administrative costs. Basically, my payroll person that does their payroll, I'm doing their budget, covers the costs. So I have actually decreased the fees to grants because our federal dollars are going down. So, and then our miscellaneous revenue, we've brought in a little bit more this year, so I just bumped it up to match. I don't think it will go down at all. County school fund, we always receive somewhere around 500. I did not change that for next year. And then the state school fund, so keep in mind this does include our virtual enrollment, and I have increased it to almost 36 million. Now remember, in a biennium with the state school fund, the first year we received 49% of the state school funding. The second year of the biennium, which is what we're looking at, we would get that 51%. So it's already going to be a little bit more than we got this year, plus we're increasing our enrollment. Our common school fund came in at $160,000 this year. I budgeted $168,000. It is not based on enrollment, so I just budgeted it at $160,000. And then our beginning fund balance, so our ending fund balance as of June 30th of 2026 this year becomes our beginning fund balance. So all I have done the last 3 weeks of my life is recalculate, trying to figure out how much we're spending, how much, what is that number going to be? My very best estimation is 7.2 million. And so that becomes our beginning fund balance to then be re-budgeted for next year. So that brings our general fund revenue to 45 million.
Percent of that has to be years.
But I have policies, our contingency must be a minimum 5% and our reserve 8%, so total added together 13, and that is in this budget. So if you want to flip to page 2, this starts the expenditures of the general fund. Just a blanket statement, I build the budget off our actual payroll, like I take like a picture of it, and I put it into our budget, and I go through all the contracts and everything that the district has agreed to. People get their steps on the salary scale. I adjust for any PERS increases, anything like that. So that's been done for the whole entire district. Our payroll and our payroll costs are huge. That's in any given school district. And so, and there's, how am I trying to word it? So that's all been done in this. So you'll see increases. I can go through where we've added FTE, but basically I took our payroll, I adjusted everyone, gave them all their raises, and put it in the budget. So elementary, our payroll, we kind of blew through our licensed subs this year, our budget, and so I increased that because we obviously needed it. Additional salary, when you see that line, that is where we pay longevity to classified staff. If we have some meetings outside of school hours that we have to pay teachers to come to, that gets paid out of additional salaries. And then our payroll costs for every single employee, we've got the PERS rates that we pay. We pay the 6% pickup on PERS for every single employee. Social Security, workers' comp, unemployment, paid leave Oregon, and of course health insurance. So all those numbers are adjusted for the 28.7 FTE that we are paying from elementary. Moving down the line, I have adjusted. Now, just so everyone knows, I walk through with every single administrator to go through this with every single principal. So the principals, they are looking at their budgets, they know. So a lot of this is coming from the elementary principal. So he didn't spend all of his purchase services budget. He felt it'd be better to bump that to consumables. So that's what we're doing. So purchase services, we're looking at 23,000. Nursing didn't change, just going down the list. Other instructional services, we bumped that up a bit. Consumables, everything is going up. Paper is ridiculous, so we blew through our budget this year. So we needed to put more money there. However, we didn't spend. Let's see. No, sorry. Next line. Textbooks. So our curriculum that we will be adopting with this year's budget is global social sciences. Thank you. And so that's been adjusted for elementary. It's going to be a little less expensive than the curriculum we purchased this year. Just added some non-consumables for the health teacher that we added last year. I failed to give her any kind of budget for this year, so she had to share, so we increased that $500. And then computer hardware, this is where we pay for all the Chromebooks for every single student. It's anticipating it's going to increase a lot next year, so I have implemented like a 30% increase to provide Chromebooks and new computers for our teachers, well, replacement computers. There's a cycle, we have a calendar, a scheduled calendar, so.
Is that on?
So Chromebooks are only given to on-site and not, okay? So what you didn't cover are the numbers. We talked about the increase, but we didn't talk about the difference between is on-site down, numbers enrollment.
So we are not, there's my paper, I just wrote it down. We're currently at
thousand.
We're at 1,075, and I didn't adjust that, but we did receive 5 new students today, so we're really at 1,080. So,
Is that up or down from last year is my question.
It is, I think it is up, because we had a smaller single class last year, but it's hard, right, we're usually, our kindergarten enrollment is up right now. Usually we're below 50%, but our kindergarten roundup was way higher than it's been, so.
That's still a guess because, oh, I forgot, or
Yeah,
I want to go someplace else, or there, yeah, that number changes drastically, I realize.
yeah.
So, okay.
so I haven't done anything huge,
No, I was
huge
saying
increase
with
or a huge
Chromebooks,
decrease.
you got a senior class right now, which take their Chromebooks.
Yes.
And then kindergarten coming in, which get, that's why I said, okay, that number's going up in cost, but does that have to go up because of numbers also?
I
Just
mean-
going up for the,
It's projected to go up because the processors are now going to
Correct.
AI facilities, and so they're no longer putting them in more personal devices, so they're projecting all of those. It's hard to get Chromebooks and then the cost will increase.
Okay.
And so that's why you see the 33% in there.
my question basically was based on, is that enough? Because I know that you got a bigger kindergarten class plus the cost going up.
I am hopeful, like we have
Sure.
budgeted 54,700 this year, we have spent every single penny of that, so, I like to budget conservatively, but I also realize, things are expensive.
And what happens in the elementary, so like, as you know, like the high school, the seniors take theirs. And so we do have to replenish that, but we know the eighth graders coming in. The elementary, what we say is we try to get 100 out every year. And then so that could be picking and choosing some classrooms that are aged or, and so we usually try to say it is 100 no matter what the numbers are in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like, it's fourth and third grade are 2 big areas of need, and then we kind of sprinkle the other 20 out with some program.
Gotcha.
Is that something we can be buying right now to get ahead of this issue? Because this processor crunches hasn't really hit the consumer price yet, but they're saying it's
So
gonna
we've
hit really
purchased
hard this
all of
year.
our Chromebooks for
Okay.
next school year, they're already here.
Cool.
So
So
this
that
will
makes this
be
budget much
for
easier.
28, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And then also new equipment, the elementary office managers are screaming at me that their copiers stink, and so we are replacing them next year. And in addition, we have some needs for some new furniture. That school is now 30 years old, I think. So we just need to start replacing stuff and maintaining what we have here on campus. So that's why that budget increased a lot. Moving along to the middle school, here are my points I wanted to say. I met with the principal there. We've increased instructional services to cover the expensive testing software that we use to meet the new accountability standards that the state is implementing on us. I've just adjusted the curriculum expense for the curriculum adoption for next year. The added funds for classroom furniture replacement, we needed there as well. One copier that needs to be replaced that I can't wait to get rid of, so I don't have to hear about it anymore. And we're hopeful to purchase a gym system. We don't have any kind of sound system in that middle school gym, so that is all budgeted in equipment. That's the increase there. And then, of course, the computer hardware, we increased that again for the price of Chromebooks and computers. In addition, staffing, we've added that 0.5 FTE that Ryan spoke about in his budget message. Moving on to page 4, under middle school extracurricular, what that means is that is all of our coaching contracts for middle school. So that, of course, labor goes up, payroll costs go up. I did meet with the principal and what other general professional services is, that's where we pay our refs from. Refs have skyrocketed. You make some good money reffing, so we needed to increase that budget. But I left the rest of it, the consumables and the non-consumables, the same. Moving down the page to the high school, let's see, I've adjusted the curriculum expense for the adoption, increased that computer hardware again, and the principal and I spoke about increasing, a slight increase in travel and dues and fees, because we need to accommodate our elite choir that is excelling, and they've made it to state, and that wasn't in the budget for this year, but they're going, and so I'm hopeful they'll go again, so we need to have the money for them to go again. For high school extracurricular, this is where we pay our extra duty contracts out of that fund. Let's see, hold on. I'm not flipping with you guys. So I'm on page 6, increase those wages, payroll costs, and then you'll see again, I've increased the professional services where we pay those reps from and officials.
What do you say?
Oh, the page numbers, for all of you that have been with me for a few years, they're at the top of the page. I don't know how this is my 8th budget, and I always left them at the bottom where you guys had to find them in the number. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. I know, I'm sorry. I'm always right.
I know, exactly. You made it great, sorry.
Anyway.
Middle school, high school, that kind of stuff, what's that coming out of? Coming out of consumer loan?
541, no,
Oh, that's good.
where are we at?
I'm for extracurricular, where would like?
Oh, so like, what are you, like football or what?
Yeah, anything.
It's gonna probably be out of the consumable account. Yeah. And these are actuals, the last 2 years, this is what we have budgeted, and then, yep. Okay,
Crystal?
yeah.
On licensed subs, I'm noticing elementary school is increasing, high school is increasing, middle school staying the same.
We haven't really touched our middle school budget. And a lot of our subs that we have needed for middle school have also worked with high school, so I might have just coded them all to high school.
Okay, so it might be some
So,
crossover.
mhm, some
Okay.
crossover there. So we do have a lot of teachers that work in both buildings.
Okay.
So. Okay, looking down at our talented and gifted, let's see. I have decreased the travel account in that fund, or that function, I should say. We didn't travel as much as I thought, so we're gonna put that money elsewhere. Our student with disabilities account, this is our SPED account. I've just made note, there's no major changes. I've adjusted instruction services and programs based off our contract with the ESD services. So we're making some changes with the ESD. One contract is going up, the other's being eliminated, so that's the reflection under instruction services and instructional programs.
How much is our, do you know the final number of the ESD budget or the services?
I would have to look that up, we do have that, we approve that.
Oh, it's already been approved, then okay.
I think they bring it to us in January for the board to approve.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now on to page 8, our alternative education. This is also called in Ryan's budget message, creative choices. I've just never changed it in the budget. I guess I could. I'll do better. Dustin, you're probably gonna ask me about subs. I probably took that out because we haven't used that budget, because if we ever put a sub in that classroom, I probably just coded it to high school subs. It's part of the high school. I've also adjusted purchase services. We were using, Brian, help me out here, Baker Web in that classroom for those students, and that was very expensive, but we're no longer using that anymore, so I've adjusted the purchase services in that budget, decreased it a lot. Okay, moving on to career technical education. This, we have another contract with the ESD. They told me what that price will be for next year, so I've adjusted that instruction service to accommodate that contract. On page 9, this is our NISA online virtual school. This is where you are going to see the majority of what Ryan talked about in his budget message, all those employees that we are adding. So we're adding that occupational therapist, an autism specialist, a special education teacher, a .5 counselor, and a 1 full-time employee that's a registrar. I've also,
Could I ask a question?
Go for it.
On the FTE with the occupational therapist, I'm not quite sure I understand, because we don't have occupational therapists for the regular.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
We do
yeah.
provide those services.
Okay, I wasn't sure about
through,
that.
The ESD we subcontract.
Oh, it's through the.
Okay, see, because my answer
You
is no, because that's not on my
subcontract it.
payroll,
No, but we
do
subcontract
have it,
it.
yes.
I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure with the virtual enrollment, how that fits and how, who manages that.
So, and a lot of these, the new positions, we subcontract last year, but now we're getting big enough that we need a 1.0.
Okay.
And so, like the autism consultant. things
So
like
if
that.
someone needs an occupational therapist, then you're managing it from here then, from this district?
Like virtual therapy.
Yeah, we have some students online that receive those services that were previously with our contracted company, eLuma. And so now that we have a person that we can hire in district, we'll share that between our virtual and our brick and mortar schools.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that actually, you adding 1.0 actually saves us money.
I've asked this a lot. There's no, like, because people keep saying, why the state might come after us for losing the school. Any updates on that at all? Because adding these would really throw us a little bit, they like said, you couldn't do the same way.
And so at that time, obviously, these are just for the virtual school that you'll see some parts, like a halftime counselor virtual and halftime there. That's one of the very few that are kind of split like that. I think Gina is split as well, as you'll see. And so we did a really good job of making sure that those are in silos. So in case that did go away, it's not going to have a large impact on our general education, the brick and mortar here. And so we've been extremely mindful of that. Obviously, there have to be some things. Don't tell Matt because he'd be done. Anyway, hey Matt. But no, we have been very mindful of that planning, knowing that that is a possibility. And if you have kind of paid attention to the politics around it, is virtual funding next year is going to be a big legislative item. And so, but if you look at this, that's why we're really excited about that. So the long comments.
No, I just wanted to make sure that like that was, like, that really get, we get all. Really start looking at,
Yeah.
you know, like,
The next big increase that you will see, probably the biggest increase in our budget, is that purchase services out of our online school. It's going to almost 12 million, 11.7. Now that is where, this is the account that we pay Open Ed through, and Open Ed we partner with for our virtual school. So Please do.
I forgot, it not only reflects the increase in enrollment, but also reflects an increase in our service agreement with Open Ed to provide that service. So I think we're like $107 more per student on there. So just as a reflective cost, and we haven't actually increased the amount we paid for them since, I signed the agreement back in 2021. So, we're 40%. So, I mean, that is a longer story. So we projected it at 9,000, and we said we're going to pay a certain amount of, which was 60% of 9,000, right? Well, we've gone up, obviously, we're around almost 11. However, since we defined that number, we've reduced that from 60% of what it used to be. It's actually, we've been reducing it to 55, 54. Anyway, so we are still below that 60% more. Yes. So we're still below that 60%.
because other schools are 30 when you started.
Yep. So, if you add all that, what I did there.
two other accounts to note. Since we're adding staff, we have to buy more desks, buy chairs, buy computers. So I had to increase, praying 50,000 can cover as much, everything that you need. It's expensive to buy everything. So that's the virtual school. The next budget is the English as a second language. This is salaries. Let's see, my note says no changes other than payroll expense increases. Farther down the page is our migrant education. I have made no changes to that, kept that the same. Counseling services, I have made no changes to that. Curriculum development, I increased purchase services to accommodate for curriculum professional development that the superintendent asked me to add into the budget. If you have questions, he's right here. Okay. On page 12, our classified staff adjusted the library book budget for the elementary school. As in this year's budget, we increased it a bit to purchase numerous new Spanish books. And now that we have those books, we can go back to our normal budget until we need Spanish books again. So that was the only change in the library.
Can I?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I hate to be the guy that goes back a page.
You are always that guy.
I know.
Buttons up.
And I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Before I ask this stupid question, I want to make sure that it's really stupid. But under migrant education,
Yes.
we went up 4 full-time employees, but we didn't, I don't remember seeing anything from the.
So this is not our,
superintendent.
this is not our Title I-C grant. This is money that we are committing in our general fund to go toward migrant. I.e., they like to buy food, and what did we get slapped on the hands for? Buying food with federal money. So this covers all of our events year-long to support those activities, but we are not misusing federal funding.
You might want to make sure that your superintendent does that in his address, because he never addressed it down in his little letter.
He made it, and I'm sure he.
Okay, very
I
good.
like that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So on the migrant program, are we closing the preschool for next year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We only had one student left in there for that, and that student will go to the DSM sponsor, and so that student will still have full-time preschool, and that was the purchase. And if Dumo students are ready for those, so.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Sorry, now you forgot where we
Yeah, I
are.
don't even know where I am.
Page 13.
Next
Okay,
one.
12, 13. Oh, look at us go. Okay, assessment and testing. I did increase other instructional services as we wanted one little program to help test. That's what that is for. Down to instructional staff development. Now this, I did not change anything. That is in our contract with classified union. We have to budget that in there for them to be able to access. So, but I did not increase it, did not make any changes. The next account is on page 14. That's our Ford account. There have been some changes in that. Decrease in purchase services. I believe my intention, if I can remember a year ago, was to have enough money for a particular person that no longer works here in case he was going to give us services and bill us hourly. I don't want to say names because I can't. But so that hasn't happened, so I've decreased that and we're spending that money elsewhere. I've also increased our audit services. It's expensive, but they are so worth it, and I hope I never have to find new auditors ever again. So please be okay with that number there, because they're worth it. And everything else, dues and fees, we blew our budget this year with dues and fees, and so I've just adjusted for that. Moving down to Office of the Superintendent. Let's see. I think I last year covered my basis because when we adopted the budget, I did not know if this person, his title was the District Compliance Officer, was going to be here this year or not, and he was a half-time FTE. So I put him in the budget for this current year, but that is not happening. So, and I also, I think I was trying to play the safe side. If he's on payroll, put him here. If he's going to be invoicing us, put him in purchase services, so I covered our bases. But since we're not utilizing any of that, that's been removed from the superintendent's FTE as well.
So the number under FTE is 2. Is that, am I looking at it right?
That's our current budget, yes, because he was in this budget.
Because he's in this one, yep.
And now, next year, I took that 0.5 out, so that's why it's decreased. Office of the Principal, this is where we obviously pay our principals from and some of our office managers. Principals or administrative salaries, it has gone up just a little bit, and that's because one of our administrators is paid from a special revenue fund, High School Success Act, and that money is decreasing. And so can't just not pay him, so we've got to shuffle some of his expenses to our general fund as, and that is not a federal grant, that is a state grant. So, and I don't think there are any other changes to that budget. Other support services, now this is where in our current year budget, this is where we pay our federal programs director. Next year, there's gonna be some changes in that staffing, and I've added a 0.5 FTE. Mr. Hawkins wants to elaborate or not?
As, we're bringing in a new federal programs director next year. We're very excited as Matt is retiring, but he will come back as kind of how we had the last person to help train and do that and look at some instruction services. And so, so that person will come back in a limited capacity to help kind of handing over the guard, if you will, and get trained. I think something that was extremely valuable when we were our 1C process is the amount of training that we got. And so we want to make sure that all of that knowledge transfers next year. And so anyway, so that is going to be, that's where that 0.5 is added for that.
Next is the business office budget, so we'll just skip that. Just kidding. I've reduced our purchase services. Ryan and I had some ideas for purchase services this year, but we didn't go down that road. My office is not spending $130,000, so I just dropped it down to cover our contracts that we have in the business office for like software, things like that. But I did increase our telephone expense because that went up, silly, and also consumables. This toner is ridiculous. So that's the business office budget. Next is our operations and maintenance budget. You'll notice I decreased by 1 FTE. It was our hope maybe that we would add a construction project manager to our payroll, but we didn't end up doing that, and that's not our plan anymore moving forward, so I've removed that from that budget. And also I got rid of substitutes because we're finally fully staffed, and so when we are down, we shuffle, and we don't have to try to find somebody to come cover. That's amazing. But there are some other big changes in the maintenance budget. Going through our audit, speaking with our auditor, she had a really good suggestion to help clean up end of year asset tracking. I kind of struggled with that last year because we had so many capital outlay accounts in the general fund and in Fund 440, and then we had maintenance and repairs, and I'm struggling to put all these projects and get a firm number on our financials. So she suggested to decrease capital outlay and really combine that with repairs and maintenance. And then during audit, we go through repairs and maintenance, and anything that needs to be recorded as an asset, we do that. But it's just not so many places in the budget for me to look for things, because we do a lot of things here.
And capital outlay is in itself, right? It's not just, it has to increase the value, right? And so it's like, well, HVAC, you can say it is, okay, well, we need blinds. Doesn't really, I mean, so it becomes this game of what can go in there. So what we're actually doing is we're making sure we can use that account more responsibly, and then go back and track that and say, yes, that is a capital, there it is an investment. And so it allows us to do that without making that error.
And to be honest, things are getting old, and we need a lot of maintenance and repairs to work with this. I put it right into, I took it from there and I just moved it up. I also did my best guess for what electricity, natural gas, and garbage is going to cost us next year, and did some increases. And then the magic number came down from PACE, and I have implemented a 12% increase in our PACE, which is our insurance. And that number sounds horrid, but last year it was 17 or 19, I can't remember. So I'm taking the win, only 12%. That's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Besides capital outlay, what other monies did you put in repair and maintenance, because it doesn't add up?
I think I took his existing budget and he asked for a little bit more money anyways.
There's $150,000 difference between those two numbers. numbers. So that's okay, that's why I'm just asking.
Yeah, let's see, 300, 150. It's just 25,000, right, the difference? If I look at this year's budget, his repairs and maintenance is 150, and capital outlay is 300.
And you're at 475 for capital outlay, I mean for repair and maintenance.
So, but 300 plus 150 is 450, so I added 25,000.
Okay.
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 Okay. Moving down to account called maintenance, upkeep of buildings, so, these are custodians. I made no changes other than labor cost increase. The next account, maintenance, upkeep of grounds, no changes other than labor. Flipping to vehicle operation services, also known as transportation. Let's see, I've increased our insurance that we're gonna have to pay on our vehicles, our buses. I have increased our consumables for fuel prices. And I did a slight increase in purchase services because we overspent this year.
On fuel because of all the rising costs?
Purchase services is where we've overspent this year. Fuel, we're still under budget this year. I don't think that we're gonna hit that 70,000 I have budgeted. So we're doing really, really well.
And so our purchase services, we do a lot of training. So we have a lot of new drivers, and the first time since I think I worked here, we're fully staffed in transportation. And so that takes a lot of training and things for those people. So that's what we see the increase.
Just top of your head, Ryan, do you know difference between propane, diesel, and gas? How many of
I
each?
do propane, no, the price of it.
No, the number of buses of each.
I think we only have 2 propane left. As far as buses, they're all diesel. The mini buses and the vans are gas.
Okay.
So.
Okay, on to page 20, which is our tech budget for the district. I have added 1 full-time employee for a tech support, so that would make 3 in that department. And I also adjusted remaining, let's see what my note is, adjusted remaining accounts for price increases based on fiscal year 26 purchases. I did decrease their other instructional services as they did not spend 56,000 this year. They will not, so I need to be more realistic there. Also, they are not spending as much in non-consumables, so I decreased that as well. But however, I did increase their computer hardware account. At the very bottom of that is our early retiree health insurance, and I did not make any changes to that, as we don't have any other employees that are retiring that qualify for the early retiree benefit that was agreed to way back in the day. No changes there. On page 21, we have our transfer of funds. So this is money that we have in the general fund, and we are going to transfer it to other funds. So our first transfer goes to, so the total of money we're taking out of the general fund is a little over 4.6 million. And 5,000 of that is the board scholarship that we give away every single year. I think, I didn't write down the number, what am I doing? But I think about $20,000 goes to the SMILE account. Now that's a program that we run with OSU. They give us a little bit of money to run it, but not enough to cover all the expenditures, so the district covers the rest of that account, breaks even. Also, we're transferring $125,000 to our bus replacement fund because we are going to buy a new bus. We set this up last year in the budget. We will transfer $50,000 to the turf replacement fund, as it is our goal to have $500,000 in 10 years to replace that turf. And then we don't have to come up with it anywhere else. We're building that account right now. We have to transfer some money to food service to get them out of the red at the end of the year. I have increased that. I think it's over $155,000 for next year. And then the rest of that.
What is it this year?
I just did reports for Monday. We're 118, I think, in the negative right now. We have 2 more months. So.
We're allocating paying that
Will
all.
155 cover it
I
for
think
next
so.
year?
I think so, I hope so.
So that we're like even? Okay.
Yeah. And then the rest of that, 4.6 million, after you subtract away all the rest of that is going to our Fund 440, which is our capital improvement fund.
The operating contingency fund went up almost 100,000.
Yes.
Is that, Ryan, is there a specific reason for that, or just because it's there?
Our board policy is 5% of our general fund
Okay.
revenue, so that's 5%.
So it's policy.
And then our reserve also went up because I have to budget 8% of our general fund revenue into our reserve.
Okay,
So if you combine those two accounts, that's 13%, which is policy.
it's a good policy.
And it's kind of weird, right? So our 13% now, because we have so much growth, we'll have to continue putting more and more into that rather than maintaining 13%, just because our revenue is going up so much.
Yeah.
So that's part of the game you have to play, because since we said 13%, not a specific number,
Smart.
we're gonna constantly be chasing the 13%. And I think we set that up 3 years ago, and I think now is kind of the first time we've really met that goal of 13. I think this year we met that 13%.
Well, and like every school district, the revenue side is shaky at best.
Yep.
I don't know if that's correct or, but,
And
It's
it's
not-
not go the other way, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So adding all of those expenditures together, that's a 45 million, which matches the revenue that I budgeted. So that is a balanced budget for the general fund. Yes.
This question should be reserved for later, you can tell me.
Okay.
But when we transfer that additional 4 million to the Fund 440, how is that determined? Like what, is there an amount that we project for that? Is it just
So
whatever's
we,
remaining?
as a district, we have a 5-year, what do we call it? I have my notes in front of me. 5-year facility improvement plan. And so basically, this is our vision of what the district, and what we want to have at the district. And then like we've been talking all year long, you know, crap, now we have to replace the roof on the cafeteria, like things keep popping up, so that's how I budget it. I don't know if I'm saying this very well. Like Ryan has the vision and I try to get the money to Fund 440.
So if you see in the budget, and you've heard Crystal say it before, there are a lot of things that are planned out that we kind of slowly build up, like the bus replacement fund, right? We have a 10-year plan for that because we know where the bus is going to stop being, we can't get reimbursed for them anymore. And there, you know, we have the new diesel emissions things going on. Like, so anyway, like that curriculum is the same thing. This is a smaller year for curriculum, so we build that up for an ELA or math. And so what happens is we make sure that everything is projected to where we want to hit kind of those 10-year goals that we need. And then everything else, so once everything is kind of set, we just say, what's left over, we'll go into that full form.
And then we make our plans for our
Yes.
improvements off of what that is.
And that's exactly right. And then so what we kind of, we have that as like, okay, based on this and this we should be at 3.5. I think that's what we said last year we were going to put in, but now we're 4. And so so that's how we project all of that out. So when there is a 3-phase plan, the sports facility out there, the next one, the wrestling complex with the CT, that, right, phase 2, phase 3, and the 10 years, this is where we get all of those numbers for.
And do we look at those, just kind of like we look at this, like proposed projects and money allocated for those projects? Is that part of this, or is that part of something else?
That's part of something else. That's just planning, and it's not actual, it's just, here's what we'd like to.
But once it's allocated, once it's transferred this fund into the 440, it can't be transferred back.
So in June, when I asked the board to adopt the agenda, we will adopt, or not we, you will adopt a resolution that says there are certain funds, like our PERS reserve fund, our bus replacement fund, our Fund 440, those funds can only be used for that. So we can't be like, oh my gosh.
And we'll review those funds at that time. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
And so
Yeah, no, you're right.
strategically, so it's not, oh, just take it out of there. It becomes, instead of, you know, we have a plan to replace that HVAC for the auditorium gym, has to be done. And so we can't use that money and then all of a sudden it breaks and then we what do we do? So we're protecting that from other things trying to take that, if that makes sense.
Speaking of other things.
Yeah. That's a strategic way to say, when we're looking at negotiations and those things, it doesn't become part of the bargaining checks. It doesn't
We've
become-
allocated that to other things.
That cannot be used for that. And so, that is one of the many things that we can kind of take out there. So.
Exactly.
Can I just ask one question before we move on? I think it's a good time to ask. I was on the board when we built middle school, and it was some $4 million deal. And like back in that day, I think our budget was like 15 million or something. It was just so low, right? They asked the members of the community to support us doing that, and we passed it. Is there any thought over 10 years in, like when you put $4 million for these projects, I think that's awesome. What Ryan's done here is just fantastic. But is there any thought of putting $500,000 to help reduce the interest? Because we're still over on that middle school bond, like to help the taxpayers not have to pay quite so much if we're that far in, like we still have 10 years left, because that would really reduce, you would think, I couldn't do the math, but any thought of that ever?
So that has come up. We've actually engaged with the bank that owns the bond and saying, what does a prepayment look like, right? Like, is there a penalty? And I think it was like, I think it was like a no kind of thing. Do you remember we had that conversation?
Yeah,
with
this
them?
was years ago, because
Yeah.
you came to me and said, let's pay it off. And I
Yeah.
said, whoa, hold on. And we called somebody, but I can't remember. But you know what, let me
A
write
lot
that
of
down.
them are up, like
You
front
could
loaded.
just pay, they wouldn't just let you pay off.
And there was something with it that, no, you can't do that.
Let me,
We can't give you money.
Oftentimes, they're like
We haven't
a
talked about
5-year
it
no
for years,
payoff
but-
clause or
And it
something.
was one of the very original things, it was 3 years ago when I started, we talked about, hey, is this something, because we talked about using that for 40, right? And then basically giving back to the community, and that would be some way, we lower taxes because we paid that off early.
I just remember there was $500,000 and the taxpayers really wanted us to use it, like that capital aid to pay that school. And as a board, I remember saying, we need to have some reserve, we need something else. So we kept it, and it was kind of for that, and we kept it, pulled it back, and there was a few people upset, and then, so that just comes to my mind, like, I don't know.
Michael, I'll make note, and Ryan and I can, because it's been a couple of years since a lot of things
I
have
know you
happened
got
since
great
there,
projects
so.
coming, and I'm not trying to like.
We'll revisit it, yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
I got lots of thoughts.
So after that is our lovely colored picture for Michael, picture colored graphs. This just shows so you can see percentages of our revenue and our expenditures and where our money goes.
So now we're moving into special.
Yes, so that was general funds, so now we're going into special revenue funds.
So kind of a general question about these special revenue.
Yes.
If any of these sources of revenue go away, do we
Yes.
have any obligation to keep these programs?
For the general, no.
No, not the general, the special ones. So each of these are going to be funded by special allocated federal dollars or grants, right?
Yeah.
So if one of these programs isn't funded, the federal legislature says, we're getting rid of Title I-A, I mean, just an example, right? Do we have any obligation to keep that?
No.
Okay, all right. So the question was going to be based on I know the policy is 13% of general fund, but if we had obligations under this, should we be expanding to these? Okay.
The only one on there that we, I mean, regardless, that I will never probably go away is IDEA.
Okay.
And we have an obligation to that, those funds. And so, but yeah, if it gets moved to the Department of Labor and Industry, right, and those things kind of go away, and things get collapsed.
What were the things you said?
It's IDEA.
What was IDEA?
Sped, I had that too.
Yeah, so,
It's
Special
all the
education.
acronyms that
Special
the school
education.
districts
So-
are.
So with that, should we be looking at increasing our reserve fund to cover the sped account as well?
and I don't think that will get touched, that's what I'm telling you, that is protected, like, Title I-A, Title I-C, those things aren't, and those things could possibly go away, and so what we would look at is, how do we continue those services with what we have in general fund in those things.
Just
Obviously,
to like perspective, our IDEA grant is 300,000.
Okay.
So kind of feel like our contingency, we could cover that.
See, I
Something
don't
to,
know, looking at a $32,000.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
if it was like 3 million, which I wish we could get that kind of funding, then we should probably look at something like that, but I wouldn't see an issue with our general fund still keeping those services.
In reverse, we don't have to take title funds.
and that's absolutely correct. We
Yes.
do not.
Right, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, we do because that's, but you don't have to take those and provide the services either, so.
Good point.
And so we are, I have projected if we need to class those things and what that look like. And so,
There are so many versions of this budget. Okay, moving on to our special revenue fund. So the first fund that we budget out is Title 1A. So our federal funding, for the most part, stayed flat funding. A 1 year or a school year grant is good from, say, July 1st all the way to June 30th of the next year, plus another 3 months. So we're going to have a little bit of carryover from this year's Title 1A funding. And so even though our funding's flat, we're not going to have a lot. We're pretty much spending it all. But that's why it's gone up a little bit in this budget, because we're going to have a little bit of carryover. But basically from Title 1A, we employ 8 employees. 7 of those are IAs, and 1 of them is a licensed teacher. Our Title 1A funding is only for our elementary school, does not go to our middle school or our high school. So the majority of the funds cover those expenses, those payroll expenses. Let's see, we also have a little bit of money budgeted for after-school program that we run, and our robotics club has gone to state, and some curriculum that we use to support Title 1A at the elementary school. And McKinney-Vento, which is for homeless students. So no real big changes. I'm not anticipating our new federal programs director to come in and make huge changes. So feel pretty good about Title 1A funding for next year. Our next special revenue fund is Title 2A, and that's on page 25. I've just adjusted this budget for anticipated funding. It's going to drop just a little bit, but not bad. But what we pay from Title 2A is professional development for our licensed staff and our administrators. Just adjusting according to the budget narrative. So every year we get this funding, and every year our federal programs director has to write a budget narrative to the state on how we're going to spend it. So there are some changes in this coming year's budget because some things got changed in this year's budget narrative. So I'm trying to project what we're doing next year, even though we have a new person coming in. It's playing the game of what are they going to do, and did Crystal budget it right? But for the most part, it's professional development. On page 27 is Title 3. Title III funds are used for English language learner students. We don't have any payroll out of Title III funding. We have currently been using this funding for, say, Rosetta Stone licenses and Flashlight Learning. I see all these things. I don't know what Flashlight Learning is. I probably should know because I paid the bill, but that does come out of Title III funding.
It's a ESL learning software.
Thank you.
Kids can go on, and it's different than the other ones because it does actually voice and and so.
And we also use this funding to send 3 of our ESL or ELL teachers to a conference every year, specifically for that.
Does ASL fall under ESL?
No, I don't think it does.
Even if that's their primary language?
Yeah, I don't think it does. So, but that would be something I'd be more happy to look into. So
Okay.
that is really.
I know for a fact that I know that your ASL program is about to double in 2
Yes, it
years.
is.
Yes.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so Title 3. Now on page 30 is Title 4A funds. year in that funding, or hopefully the way we're spending it, I've left it all the same. Okay, on page 32 is our Title I-C funding, that's our migrant funding. So that took a big hit as our migrant students, sorry, page 32.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
We're talking about ESL.
Yes.
Sorry, I spaced my question, but
You're okay.
did we set aside more dollars to send like dual language teachers or the group or non-dual language teachers? Did we talk about that in the budget?
Yes.
Address
set
it?
aside. And
Places
so,
in Mexico.
yeah.
Or to anything, something where they can like bond and cooperate and
So La
come back and
Or what was it?
really be like
Yeah.
fired up to teach our kids.
We have set money aside
You
for
said
that.
it
And so, but don't tell them that because I said, look, you get me better results, I'll make sure all of you go. So
Oh,
I'm
and
putting
we're
in a
live.
budget, you know, that is in the budget to support that. So,
What was added to it? Like, what's
so
it
you'll
for?
see, I've added some money in my professional services in my account to kind of offset that. We also have some money in here that we're going, because, so in our federal budgets, right, we write them in August, but we didn't know that they wanted to go to that conference in August when we wrote it. So that's going to be something that we add in there as well. And then you'll see on the elementary, we've increased that in there as well.
Are
So-
they mostly elementary then?
Yeah, it is, well, we have opened it up to middle school, high school, that's our goal, to the dual language teachers in there.
I think we did have one middle school teacher and one high school teacher go this year, and all of the elementary.
So,
It was quite the ordeal.
They were so excited. It was
Yeah.
and so part of it is, that's why you see a large increase in our subs for elementary when you have half the building out, that's a big deal, so.
Okay, so it's not because the teacher's not coming to work?
No, I mean, there is some of that, but there's also been, yeah.
That was something I kind of noted for later, but then I was like, all right.
Say it now.
So
We
you'll
went there, so.
You'll see that, and there were, I mean, and especially a district of our size, is that when large life things happen to staff, and a person is out for extended, it shows, right? That percentage shows, it makes a big difference. You know, when you have a couple staff members who are out for 90 days, right? That's a big deal. So that's why you see that kind of in the high school, elementary, you don't really see it as much in middle school with how we code it, so.
Okay, so back to page 32, Title I-C migrant funding. I have reduced that funding based on the federal cuts and our migrant numbers. We have removed the 1C preschool and those expenditures, so that's the payroll for the teacher, the payroll for the IA, the payroll costs, the consumables for that classroom, because we're not going to have that classroom, and it will not operate next year. So those are the changes to 1C.
And part of the plan, just for you guys, it's not so big budget, but it doesn't mean we stop services for those families and those preschool kids. We are going to use our existing infrastructure to help support them.
But we still have $30,000 in that budget for something like that happening.
So that will be, what page are you on? Might ask you this.
33.
This is just.
30.
We'll let somebody else answer this.
So we have migrant education.
So we do, so we still have in-classroom expenditures for our other migrant students that, so if you look at the number 1293, function 1293 that says migrant education, yes, that was preschool, but that's also supporting our K through 12
Okay.
current
All right.
migrant students.
That makes
Say that
sense
right?
then.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So we are reducing our staff to only 3 FTE in our migrant program next year. On page 37, this is the Ewing Sports Fund. Some of you recall, some of you are new, but we had Mr. Ewing give the district his IRA when he passed away, and also a lot of land. And with very specific instructions that money only go to help students to play in sports. So our balance has decreased because we've been spending it over the last couple of years. So we're at about $40,000, a little less than $40,000 for that. So that goes to help, travel, coaching camps, kid needs a pair of shoes. So that's what we use that money specifically for, just sports, nothing else, and that's why it's in a special revenue fund.
Is the idea to take that to zero eventually? Is it- Yeah.
We have a piece of it all, and all of a sudden we plus like 40 grand in there.
Yep. It was just sitting there.
What was it,
It's,
do you know what it, I
Um,
what they spent on it? Is there a way?
well,
Do
that's,
we have purview to look at that?
Yeah, well, so prior to last year, it was really, we just focused on paying, right? The ones that couldn't really do the fees. And we said, we have to open this up, because we looked at those opportunities, especially the kids that miss it, can't have, that other schools have. And so what we did was we brought in camps, because a lot of our kids couldn't pay for them. So we brought in HBC, those ones here, that's where it came out of. Because like I said, our kids couldn't pay for travel, they couldn't pay for the camp registration. And so what we did was, we said, you know what, we're gonna bring it to you, and that's where that money came from.
so that was the big jump.
Yep, that was the big jump, because the first year we offered, remember, we offered basketball camps last year, we offered volleyball, wrestling, I think football might have, no, I don't think football came out of there, but anyway, so, that's what we brought.
So is that not just runs through Josh then?
Yep. And those programs.
And so if it's budgeted for this, is the plan to just use it this year and finalize it?
No,
Or is it?
I really, on page 38, I think we'll still have about $19,000 in that balance to budget for the next fiscal year.
So about half of it, yeah.
Yeah. And then if we don't use all that, then that ending fund balance will be bigger, and we'll just have more money the next year. So,
So if a kid needs a pair of shoes, then you'll go do it. Great.
That's what he wanted it for.
yeah,
So,
he wants kids to play sports.
access was a platform.
It's pretty cool. So. Okay, on page 39, House Bill 2444, this is a grant that,
This is going on.
oh, sorry, time out.
Go.
I think you have to go.
Aloha.
Thank you. Are you going?
Yes, there.
We're planning to come back. How long are you going to take?
I'm gonna take 20 more minutes.
Yep.
Then we'll cover.
25 more minutes.
I bet you can do it in 17.
30 more.
17 minutes, Pat, go.
We still have the quorum and all that, so we're good. But yes.
The general fund is the hardest to get through. It's just the most. Pressure.
I know. She's like, right,
Right, it says 55 minutes, Crystal.
Hey, I plan to be back.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be published.
Pat, I really want to go. I'm here. I'll be back, but I really want to support the kids.
Okay.
Well, we need you back now, Luke.
Okay, we're gonna continue on, and we may or may not be here when you come back.
Okay.
Do we have a board quorum or just right now?
I think we have to have a-
It's okay if I go?
Yeah.
No, go.
Yeah, we
Should have kicked me out of the first
need
question.
at least 4 budget committees.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so House Bill 2444, this is a grant that a staff member applies for every single year, and usually is awarded it. And I am anticipating receiving this grant again. I adjusted it from last year's budget to 6,500 because this person did not receive as much funding. So I just adjusted it down. That is that. On to page 41, which is our CTE Career Pathways grants that we received. We received about $30,000 this year. I'm not anticipating that to decrease or increase. And I believe I took the budget narratives submitted by the 3 teachers in our CTE programs, and I've just adjusted their budgets to how they said they're going to spend their money. So there's a little bit of shift in where we're spending it, but the total overall is the same. On page 43 is our scholarship fund. Within this fund, we house our board scholarships. We also house the Clarice Poor Scholarship that she gave the district $50,000 to disperse to a graduating senior, $5,000 a year. So we manage those finances as well. And then also we have a little bit of funding in that account for a food service scholarship that they've worked really hard to try to raise some money to award a food service scholarship.
Anybody up in that a little bit? Giving the board a little bit more flexibility to give some of our students some.
I think that would be a board decision. That's not really a me decision.
Planning for the future.
Yes,
See
I
how
like
that
it.
works out for you in the future.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I see what other, like, I see what other schools, like, kids get. It's just crazy what other schools locally, the kids get scholarships. Like,
Yeah.
so, you know,
We need to do more as a community in that regard.
right?
I don't- yeah.
So yeah, I think that's just really a directive from the board and or the budget committee is to have input as well.
Just throw it in.
Yeah.
Okay. On page 45, I'm happy to present a brand new fund that I actually will be presenting to our school board in June because we received a summer learning grant this year. So we need to adjust our current budget, but we applied as a district for a competitive grant to receive some funding for summer learning, not just migrant summer school, but for K-12, all students. And so we applied, asked for $300,000, and we received that $300,000. So that is added into our budget, and that is a 3-year grant. We're guaranteed $300,000 3 years in a row. So
We're doing what with that? Or the board hasn't decided yet?
nope, we have summer school planned.
For all kids.
Any
For all
students, not
kids.
just.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And we have a priority for service, obviously, right?
4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4
It's,
weeks?
It'll be 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like the old one was or whatever?
Yep, exactly. So it'll be a second half day.
What? Monday through Friday?
Yes, Monday through Friday, all for the whole month of June.
So probably won't be certain kids get.
Yes, and so the ones that, you know, that are below grade level or SPED, or, you know, they kind of get a priority list on there, and so they get first.
Is it
first
K-12 or pre-K-12?
It's pre-K through 12.
No, sorry, I was supposed to be pre-K
It is pre-K through 12, and that goes from, till the half day, and then the second half of the day is that traditional migrant summer school, so.
Okay.
And
that's
the migrant will be all day.
How many kids do you think you can do with that?
300 right now is our goal.
How many signed up?
Right now we have 160 something, and we've opened it up to anybody. So we've said, anybody who applies, you're getting in.
Right now?
Yep.
So there is no priority.
Nope, we started with priority,
started.
and all of those kids got in, and then, and so right now we
People know that, right?
we've sent out several kind of text messages, please sign up, please sign up.
There's been a lot of communication.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and so it is open for all right now, and we're gonna do some, you know, as Mrs. Ramos, actually, I really good is actually, the teacher actually called them physically, saying, hey, I really got this kid, we've been working really hard, please don't let him, you know, and so we're gonna do some things to help with that. Not budget-wise, just narrative-wise, so thank you.
So that's our new summer school grant.
That's great.
It was very competitive, and not everyone that applied got it. So we were number 33 on the list getting funding, so pretty proud. We worked hard on that grant, or this application. 198 districts
Who did that?
of the application. Mr. Hawkins, myself, the administrators.
Yeah, and ESD really helps.
Oh, the
support those
ESC as well,
things
yes,
well.
very much so.
Yeah, so.
So that's really cool. I'm excited. Oh boy. Okay, on page 47.
One more time, is that,
Yeah.
your cafeteria budget obviously is affected by this also, is that, I hope a little bit of that has been twisted on them a little bit. Seems like, Michael, we went through this, the cafeteria has been a bane to existence for a while. But, I mean, it's from not being able to click the right button to whatever, right?
Yeah.
To new computers, but anyway, so
So-
I'm assuming that part of that is
So
allocated to the food services so they
none
can
of,
do.
none of this funding, this is all teachers and IAs. We
Okay.
run our, because different federal program
Right.
grant has to be separated, has to be in
That's
our
fine,
food
I
service
understand
fund.
that
So,
part of it.
but yeah,
I just wanted to make sure.
I'm excited because more students means more meals. When we serve a meal, we get reimbursement for it. So I'm hoping our June numbers will look the best they've looked in years.
I understand,
Having a
but
good
that
summer
philosophy is flawed, Crystal, because it goes in a whole for your reimbursements, obviously not covering the cost of your
I know.
meal, so,
I know.
more numbers means you go further in the hole if you don't
Well-
change something.
Well, part of it is, right, because you gotta pay a staff member an hour no matter what.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So either they make one meal or they make 100 meals, right? And we get reimbursed per meal.
Yeah.
And so it's really, I mean, as you know, that personnel is the biggest cost.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's strategic, and I think we have 11 employees in food service, but not all 11 will be working summer. We don't need all 11. So scale back your personnel, menu smart.
So will the kids that just go in the morning, will they get lunch and then go home?
Yes,
They'll get breakfast and lunch.
breakfast, lunch. Okay. So, page 47, this is our IDEA grant, this is special education. So, I budgeted in our current budget $318,000, and we were actually a little bit surprised in our funding, from our estimated funding to our actual funding. It went up in the current year budget. So I adjusted it up because we got a little bit more money this year, I am hoping. I have not been told it's going down a lot or anything, so from this grant, we pay 6 instructional assistants that work in our SPED department. It's all labor, we don't pay anything else out of this grant.
Are there any kids coming into kindergarten that are gonna have a one-on-one that we have to budget for?
Not currently.
Because I know that's always a surprise.
Yes, yeah, not that we're aware of. We know that there might be some that we'll watch and see, but we're
On page 49, we also receive a smaller IDEA grant. It's Part B, Section 619, very specific. It's just about $2,500, and these funds have to go to a student 0 to 5 years old. So if they're over 5, we can't use it or spend it on a student that's 6. It's a very small grant. I haven't seen it increase or decrease over the years. It's just been pretty steady. I don't expect it to go away, so I just kept the budget the same for next year for that grant. On page 51, this is my most favorite fund that you guys allowed me to add to the budget a couple years ago. It's just to cover miscellaneous grants. So I'm not having to come to the school board every single second and saying, we got this $2,000 grant, I didn't budget for it, can I please have permission, and then change the budget. I can just key it to this account. And so this is not guaranteed money, this is my best guess. I've looked at other school district budgets, they do the same thing. So it is $50,000 in this budget, but it's not expected at all. That's what that is. And then on page 53, this is the SIA, or the Student Investment Account, or app. I was getting that wrong. We received 2.1 million this year. We're getting 2.1 million last year. I wasn't aware. It changed because of our virtual enrollment, because this is based off of enrollment, these grants. And so in this year's budget that's adopted, it was adopted for 1.5. However, we're getting 2.1. So in June, when I meet with the board, I will be presenting a supplemental budget change, asking them to adopt that because we got the additional funds. So for next year, I know now we're getting 2.1 million, so that's what I put in this budget. In SIA, this money is funds to support social and emotional support to our students and learning for our students. Majority of these funds cover staff payroll. This covers our counselors, our nurse, our SRO. We use these funds to pay for some teachers to reduce class sizes. In this current budget, there's 15 and a half full-time employees paid out of the SIA funding.
So our counselors, they all come out of this?
Yes.
They don't come out of our general fund?
They're all state of Oregon. I think the only place you'll see a general fund would be the Richmond School with the African Council.
Did you want to add anything else, Ryan, to SIA?
Nope.
Okay. On page 58, this is the early literacy grant that we get from the state. It is also enrollment driven, and so our allocation went up because our enrollment has gone up.
Stop just a second.
Yes.
Maureen,
No, you're fine.
go back to SIA.
Okay.
You talked about counselors, nurses, et cetera. What is other support services? Because it's about
Okay,
half
here you
of
go.
that budget.
So
Now, the
this,
2.1 is 618,000, but it says other support. Maybe does that, those
Is that
lists that
the-
you gave us, is that other or other means other than what you gave us?
No, that's your SRO.
Okay, it is all of the above.
Yes.
Okay,
That's-
all right,
yes,
all right.
safety
Nurse,
prevention
the-
specialist.
yes.
We also have a community connections person.
That's fine, I just wanted to read the word other, and you gave me a list, I didn't know if that was
Yeah,
additional to that list or not.
No.
Okay, all right,
nope.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, our early literacy grant, that has gone up based off of our enrollment. And so what we've done to this budget, we were hopeful this year to have a 1 FTE teacher. We currently employ a .5 teacher and added a 1.0 IA to support this program. And this is at the elementary level. So for next year, utilizing the additional funds, we're hoping to keep that teacher and then add an additional IA for even more support for our early literacy initiatives. So it's all payroll. Page 60, Measure 99, or also known as the Outdoor School Grant, or how we all know it is the 5th grade field trip. Unfortunately, those funds keep decreasing because of budget cuts, but we're still figuring out a way to make it work. And so I've just lowered the funding to what we received this year, which was, I was hopeful we'd get 71,000 this year, but we didn't. We received 52,000. So I'm just budgeting that for next year, hoping that there's not any more cuts. If there is, we just have to get even more creative to make the trip happen.
What did we spend on it this year?
We're reporting that to you in March, wait, this month or June, I can't remember, but we spent every single,
Yeah.
like.
Of the 71.5?
No, we only got 52. I was hopeful that we would get 71, so that's what I budgeted for, and then they came out with all their cuts. So we only got 52,800 this year.
And we spent that.
And we
but
spent
not
it, yeah.
additional.
Okay.
On page 62, this is our high school success fund. This is also enrollment driven, and this is unfortunately decreasing as well. I'm anticipating about $305,000 next year of funding. We pay personnel out of this. This is for high school, not middle school, not elementary. So teachers, administrator, and instructional assistant. And this is where I did decrease an administrator's wages, just because our funding is decreasing. So having to get creative.
No.
Who is this? What is,
Um,
what are these teachers?
So, yeah, like, the position.
What are the positions?
There's a position, part of the, college and career person, counselors in that.
College
Yeah, no, or
graduation.
graduation specialist is part of that, and it pays a percentage of, our vice principal in there, that's the administrative one, for attendance reduction services and that fall under the grant, and also a very small portion of like 3 different staff, is that correct? So, I think that those are teachers. Say it, Becky.
Thank you for not saying names. Okay.
Positions.
Just positions. Okay. On page 64, this is our PERS reserve fund. We currently have $500,000 in that fund. I wasn't instructed to increase that this year. Haven't heard anything. We're just keeping that. That's protected. We can't use it on anything else but PERS expense. So nothing has changed in that fund.
Right, we debated on whether to do it this way or whether to do, I was just curious whether we made the right decision or not. 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, whatever.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We made the right decision.
There
Yes.
are districts that did that buy down rate.
Right.
That midway through this year in December got hit with, by the way, in a couple weeks, your rates are gonna go up to 18, I mean, almost
Skyrocket.
double, and they had to cut mid-year because of that, and I think, where was it, Grant Union was one of them, and Baker was as well, and so your guys' move, and I think you two on the board during that time, to put that in this account was extremely wise, and we were able to support people rather than be supported because of that.
We were just lucky, Mike.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know, it was like, it really was a
It
football
was.
one, because we didn't know
It was
which way to
hard.
go,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
and they did a good sell. And
Yeah, they did.
said, you know, we're gonna invest that, and then it's gonna be, you know, all of this, and,
Okay.
anyway.
Okay, so on page 66, this is the SMILE program that we run in all 3 schools. We have a contract agreement with OSU. They give us $7,500. Notice that's slowly decreasing. So we're having to fund a little bit more to make this program still happen. I think it's very valuable to our schools and no one wants to see it go. So we have two people from the elementary, 2 middle, 2 high school that are advisors for the club. And so they get a stipend. And that's contracted in our license contract, that stipend. So we have to pay that plus the payroll costs. In the contract with OSU, it says that we have to give each building $400 for them to use to purchase for their experiments or go on field trips or whatnot. And then also there, 3 times a year, there is opportunity for our advisors to go to Oregon State for some professional development. And so there's travel money also built in to the middle school, elementary, high school budgets to accommodate for that. So our SMILE program runs us about $31,000. On page 69, this is our bus replacement fund. This is based on a 10-year projection that Brian has created. He knows when we need to buy buses, and I just need to make sure the money's there. So this next year, we'll be transferring $125,000 from the general fund into this fund, and also making a purchase of 1 bus. Truck, yeah. They're sitting about $225,000.
Oh.
Hope it's nice.
Yeah.
Just like every other bus.
So,
They're making it
Are they really?
1 passenger.
Blue
And a driver.
on page 71, this was the new fund we created in this year's budget. This is our turf replacement fund. It is our goal to have $500,000 in 10 years in this fund. I'm happy to say we are trucking right along. We're looking really good for this year's budget. And if we continue transferring $50,000 every single year for 10 years, we're going to have that money to replace that turf.
And that's the estimated cost.
We're almost done, guys, promise. On page 73, it's our student body funds. Going through the audit, the auditor had made mention that I have been budgeting our student body funds wrong. I needed to budget it as revenue, and the past couple of years, I actually budgeted it as a beginning fund balance. So that is why this current year budget, miscellaneous revenue is 0, and then for the proposed budget, it actually has a number in it because I remembered what the auditor told me to do and I changed it. So I don't key it with beginning fund balance. It's a whole separate financial system that we use for student body money, and it is just a journal entry to our district financials. So that's why there's a 0 this year and a number for the proposed budget, if that makes sense. This is only student body money, can only be spent on students, and that number includes elementary money, middle school money, and high school money. On page 75 is our child nutrition and food service fund. I want to anticipate our revenue going up, but I think I budgeted a little high this year. We're kind of low on meals. And so I just adjusted it down a little bit. I don't think we're quite gonna hit 1,212,000 this year, so I decreased it a little bit for next year, just trying to make it more accurate. But you will see on the revenue page on page 75, that internal transfer of $155,000. I am hoping that will cover it and get us out of the red next year.
So does this take into account with the remodel of the cafeteria, we're talking about doing an extra day of home cooked meals?
So to my knowledge, that part of the remodel is not happening. Like, it will
Thank you.
be
Extend
happening,
that.
but
Yeah,
it,
extend it.
it's not.
To do, we're gonna do the roof of the
Let's do
HVAC.
that next year.
The actual remodel in there, that's.
Yeah.
Okay, so never mind.
I think we were so hopeful to get it all done in 3 months, and that was not realistic. So, but I did increase, obviously payroll costs, increased food costs because it's going up, and also
That's
the
you.
supervisor down there wants to buy a larger piece of equipment, so increase the budget for that. On page 78, this is all about our bond that we have. Our payment that we have to make next year is $485,250. We have a separate LGIP account that holds this money in it. All the money going into it is from our taxes that we receive, current year and prior year, and also the interest off that account, so.
Sorry, can I bug you with a question?
Yes.
On the food service,
Oh, yeah.
when it looks at payroll costs, it says that this year we're at like 295,000, but the next budget is quite a bit less
So
than
you
that.
have to remember, when I do the budget, I take a snapshot of our current payroll. So there are some employees that maybe when I took a snapshot last year, they were up here on the salary schedule, and then they've quit, and we've hired someone else that's now like a step one, or so
Gotcha.
it's a more accurate.
So payroll costs have gone down even though number of employees have not.
Right.
I understand.
Just depends on who's in the role, if that makes sense. And we have turnover all the time, so.
Yeah.
Did I tell you?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you guys. I'm like, they're gonna see this and wonder what the heck. If we didn't have turnover, payroll would always go up, right?
Yeah.
But, okay, were there questions on our debt service? Good. Okay. Finally, our facilities management fund 440. So this is where, on this page, you're gonna see that 4.3 million being transferred from the general fund into this fund. I'm also projecting our beginning fund balance in this fund to be at 4.1 million. So we're looking at having about $8.5 million in this account. Where we use this money just for improvements and building new buildings or whatnot. That's where Ryan's plan comes in on the 10-year vision of.
And you'll give us more idea of those budget items down the road.
So that kind of goes back to.
So can you share that vision? Because a lot of people ask me all the time, everybody has these, like, maybe the budget, maybe that's just a vision you share with the school board, I don't know, but it gets set up. They've all, like, you talk about replace wrestling rooms and all this stuff, like, how would this see that?
Yep, that's the phase 2 of the plan kind of development.
So what it said, you didn't say wrestling room in there, it said
CTE, PE, so it's PE health because there are the modulars there, so the facility will have, and this is just before we're getting out there, getting committees together to what that vision looks like. It is, part of it is for the wrestling facility in there, but also that it will house, basketball hoops, standards for volleyball. So it's not just wrestling in there, but it's gonna be free match-wide, because right now we don't have facilities, is girls wrestling.
Sports
association.
complex.
Yes, so it'll be able to do those things, knowing the primary function will be wrestling. That'll be where, and this is this is all in my brain as we know, and I'm not gonna get too far into it because we do have this to do, is those tennis courts need to be replaced anyway because right? And then so it'll be there, and then in a breezeway on the other side will be the classroom that houses the CTE, PE health, virtual school, the nursing program, and creative choices. So instead of being in these outbuildings that are outdated here, the modules, as you know, at the high school, needed to go away a long time ago, but we haven't had it. So anyway, so those we'll finally get those out. Where they need to go today. And I mean that, I mean to Lytle, by the way, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got what I was saying on that, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, so that is the current plan for it, and there's gonna be some improvements to the middle school with that plan, like a smaller room. The tennis courts will be relocated by there. So there's gonna be some things that we do to improve the middle school as well. And so that is phase 2, as we see it now.
Nothing's set in stone.
We didn't plan on the auditorium, gym, HVAC to go out, and so that's why we're kind of, we're adjusting a little bit.
Okay, so that's why it's the development of a new facility, not building a new facility.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It's big dreams. Bring it
Good,
down.
very good.
It's true.
Phase 3 is already study 2, by the way.
Oh, boy, okay. Anyways, can I finish, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? The very last 2 pages I always include for the board, so you can see that on page 82, this is the total revenue that I say the budget's gonna be, $61,459,953.73, and the very page 83 is the expenditures. So you can see the money coming in is completely being budgeted, which is a balanced budget, which is what I'm required by law to present to you guys.
Can we start at page 5?
Yes, absolutely.
Is this the largest budget in Mountain Crystal?
Yes, sir.
I think it is.
It's the largest budget I've ever built, and this is my 8th budget for the district.
I think very few budgets in here.
I would like to thank Crystal for and obviously Ryan, but I don't want to say this the wrong way, but the brains.
Say it.
Thank you for your brains.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, she's got the nuts and bolts and all the little things.
He has the ideas and
No.
tells me the vision, but then I
He
can
does.
put the
And
numbers.
I've been in his shoes, and you have to really
Yeah.
trust. And sometimes you can't always do that. In your case, you're marvelous. Thank you for
Yes.
what you've done.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions about the budget? If not, so moved. I would entertain a motion to approve the budget.
Well, I approved, you presented to the board, but yes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Pat second. Been moved by Dave and seconded by Pat that we approve this budget that we just reviewed. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed by the same sign? It's been approved. Budget's been approved.
Yes.
Thank you all. I know it's a lot.
Thank you.
I
And
appreciate it.
you all
Take a
know you
day
can
off.
stop and talk to either one of these people anytime. You walk through the hall, the doors are open. Appreciate that. And there's always a question.
And if I don't have an answer, I'll figure it
No,
out.
you figure it out.
I'll call somebody.
Thank you.
And I wrote down some questions that you guys had and figured out and writing them.
Okay, very good. Thank
And
you.
you'll get back to us when we
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah,
for